Back in 2014, I was hired to work on a cruise ship. I started off as a lowly restaurant steward, busting tables and mopping floors in the buffet. After a few months, I was promoted to back waiter and was moved to the main dining hall. I quickly caught on to the back waiter duties. My front waiter, who we'll call Bert, not his real name, took notice of my hard work. After a couple of weeks in my new position, Bert told me that it's only a matter of time before I get promoted to front waiter, and he wanted to start training me on how to be one. So he told me to shadow him when the next group of passengers were seated in our section so I can observe how he did his front waiter duties. Unfortunately for us, the next group of passengers seated in our section was an 8 table of Karens. Bert and I welcomed them to the restaurant. They were friendly at first, and the head Karen, an older, heavier set manisked. There is a show in the main theater we want to see that begins in about an hour. Is it possible for us to get our dinners, eat it, and get to the show on time? To which Bert says, absolutely, depending on what you order. After looking over the menu, the Karens were ready to place their order, and 5 out of 8 of them wanted the New York steak, the one single menu item that took the longest to cook. Bert told them this, and that if they all wanted to order the NY steak, that there is no guarantee that we can get them their dinners fast enough to eat and be able to get the show on time. Bert suggested alternative dishes that we could get out much quicker, but the Karens refused to change their orders. Bert read the order back to the Karens and they all confirmed that it was correct. This is important for later. Bert handed me the ticket and I ran back to the kitchen to assemble their meals. My first stop was the NY steak counter, and to my horror, there was a line a mile long of waiters waiting to drop off their tickets. Just so you know, this ship has a max capacity of about 3,500 passengers. The main dining hall seats nearly 1,000 people, and I have never seen the NY counter as busy as it was this night. It seemed like everyone and their mothers were ordering the NY steak. I would have to wait at least 20 minutes just to drop off my ticket, and God knows how long afterwards till the cook got to my ticket in order to cook them. With the wait time and juggling the other tables Bert and I had to wait on in our section, I knew there was no chance the Karens can get their meals and make it to the show on time. So I rushed out to Bert, told him what the ETA was on the NY steaks, and that he needed to tell the Karens that they needed to change their order. Otherwise, they will miss their show. Bert relayed my message to them. He came back to me and said that they still refused to change their order. Bert shrugged his shoulders and said, Bert, well, we did all that we could to try and convince them to change their order so they can make it to the show they wanted to see, but they refused to change it. So if they miss their show, they miss it, and it will be their fault. I did my best to get their meal as quickly as possible, while also waiting on the other tables in our section. Sure enough, the Karens missed the start of the show, and they were peed. They demanded to speak to the restaurant manager. They fabricated multiple lies about the crappy service they received, saying that we were lazy, incompetent, purposely dragged our feet, and lied about how long they were really waiting for their meals. They said they were waiting over an hour since they got their appetizers when it was only 50 minutes since they were seated in our section at most. Bert and I told the manager our side of the story. He believed us, said he would try and calm the Karens down, but told us to do our best to get the Karens their meals as quickly as possible so we can get them out of the restaurant ASAP. Finally, the meals were ready. I bring them out to the Karens and hoped that this would be the end of the fiasco. Unfortunately, it wasn't. 2 of the female Karens called Bert and I back to the table and complained, "Our steaks are rare. We ordered well done." Bert and I huddled. He looked over his notepad where he had the 2 ladies' steaks written down as rare. He asked me if I heard them say they wanted rare steaks when we took their order earlier on, and I nodded. Yes. Bert approached them and said, "Bert, ladies, my back waiter and I both heard you 2 say you wanted rare steaks. I read the order back to you, and you both said that the order was correct." But the Karens responded, "We've never ordered rare steaks in our lives. You 2 messed up. Take these back. We don't want them. We want brand new steaks." So Bert hands me the steaks and told me to go back into the kitchen and order 2 well-done New York steaks on the fly, which is restaurant lingo for it's an emergency and we need this order right now. So I rushed back into the kitchen. The NY steak counter was still busier than it's ever been. I rushed to the cook and asked for 2 well-done NY steaks on the fly. The cook angrily yells at me, "No one is getting anything on the fly tonight. You get your ass to the back of the line and wait your turn, like everyone else." At this point, I began to panic. It was going to be at least another 40 minutes, if not longer, for the 2 Karens to get their well-done steaks. In an alternate reality, this would be a story where I make the Karens wait the near hour-long time for them to get their new steaks as they requested. But I didn't want Bert to deal with the Karens any longer than he had to, and the restaurant manager did tell me to do my best to get them their meals ASAP so we can get them out of the restaurant as quickly as possible. So cue the malicious compliance. The Karens wanted well done, they're going to get well done. There were microwaves in the kitchen. I flipped the steaks over to hide the previously made cut marks, threw them into the microwavy and nuked them till they were well done. I brought them back out to the Karens and prayed to every deity I could think of that they wouldn't realize what I have done. Fortunately, they didn't. The Karens ate their meal in complete silence, giving Bert and I the dirtiest glares while doing so, and stormed off when they were finished. Once they left, I told Bert what I did. It took him a moment to process what I told him, and he finally said, "Bert, under normal circumstances, I would be very upset with you, and I strongly suggest that you never do what you just did ever again. However, these aren't normal circumstances. Those people were rudey, unreasonable, liars, and they didn't even tip. So you know what? Fudge them. I'm glad they missed their fudging show."